future for the 4 Ps: people, planet, purpose, and profit. I'm Swanette, and I'm your host. So welcome to my podcast, Holistic Creators. My name is Swanette and I'm your host. Today my guest is Alexi Bracey from the Whole Health Academy. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, it is really interesting that we have now the possibility to speak, because we already had a little talk before, and I know that you have a lot of things to share about your own journey and how you help people. So can you give us a little bit of overview about what was your journey? How did you come to the point where are you at now?
Well, it was that phone call that totally changed my life. And the voice at the other end said, "You have cancer. We want to book you for your surgery." And I was holding on the receiver, and all I said was very softly, "Thank you." And I hung up the phone, and I knew at that moment that I was going to beat it. I didn't know how. I didn't know anything about cancer. I didn't know about anything about health. And I just started spending hours at libraries and bookstores, because this is more than 20 years ago, where the availability of the internet is not what it is today. And I was living on the west coast of Canada at the time, where the raw food movement was very popular, had come up from California. And so I totally embraced that. And then based on the research, I got rid of toxic cleaning products and toiletries. I did some emotional work, and without drugs, medical intervention, surgery, I was cancer-free in a year. And so that just totally shifted the direction of my career. I was a traditional chef at the time, and of course I became a plant-based chef. And then I spent more than 20 plus years learning all I can about health and healing and the holistic way. And I've helped many people on their journey, whether it was cancer or whether it was a thyroid issue or whether it was a weight problem. And so it just totally shifted the direction of my career. So what I say is cancer saved my life, because otherwise who knows where I would be today in terms of my health.
Yeah, so this really was a wake-up call. And yeah, it is amazing to understand that, knowing now about all the different ways to treat people, about food and about holistic healing. This is something that really can support a lot of people who are in the state getting this call, you have cancer, definitely. So can you give us a little bit more information about this process? Like you started figuring out that you can change your way to eat and how to live in a healthier way. What exactly did you do? Well,
raw food is plant-based. So I didn't eat raw meat. But the whole concept of the raw food is when you cook food, you kill the nutritional content pretty much. You kill the enzymes, and it's the enzymes that help digest your food to absorb, all the nutrients from it. So that's why a raw food diet is considered healthier. And I didn't, but it does not include meat. And the problem with meat today is, what does the animal eat? Is it genetically sprayed corn or soy? They're injected with antibiotics as a preventative, or chickens just to plump them up and so they can be slaughtered sooner. So meat today is not the healthiest that it was 30, 40 years ago. And then environmental toxins are very pervasive. 20 some odd years ago, we didn't have as many as we do today. But, it's in our cleaning products, it's in our toiletries, it's in our furniture, it's in our clothing, it's in the varnish on your floors, it's in pet beds, flame retardants, it's in our mattresses. And so it all compounds. And when you reach that sort of threshold, that toxic load, that's when you get sick. So I didn't wear makeup for 2 years. And, you know, I bought only organic cleaning products. Like I really suggest to people to learn to, whenever you buy anything, look at the label ingredient and learn to identify the things that you don't want in there, and the things that you cannot pronounce, check them out. And if it says at the very bottom, if ingested, call Poison Control Center, why would you want to have it in your house? You know, go back to the old-fashioned way of cleaning your windows or your floors or whatever with vinegar and lemon juice and baking soda, like our parents used to do, instead of all these, you know, different things that have artificial fragrances added to them to make it smell fresher. But those artificial fragrances are loaded with chemicals, so we're smelling chemicals. You know, the sprays in your room to make it like to freshen it, chemicals. The plugins in your outlets, chemicals. Scented candles, chemicals, unless you make your own. So people just don't realize there's so many chemicals around that they just sort of take for granted, like the Bounce dryer sheets, so you don't have the static, but it's chemicals. And then you spend, you know, a third of your day sleeping on chemicals at nighttime, you know. So it's just all this toxic load. So I just suggest to people, really start paying attention, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I've been an engineer in chemical environmental technology, so I learned a lot about toxic substances in houses and in the environment, and the impact this will have on people. And often people even don't realize, okay, they have health issues, but that there is a relation to substances they use. This can be, of course, like cosmetics, or what you already told, substances they spray in the room to make it smell fresher, etc.
Right.
So,
and then a big thing that people sort of avoid or never think about is unresolved emotional issues. Kaiser Permanente, which is a well-established health research company, did a study 20 years ago on 17,000 individuals, most of them college educated. 10 questions: traumas you experienced between the ages of 3 and 18. So things like sexual abuse, verbal abuse, alcohol abuse, your father beat up your mother, you lost your home, you got thrown out of your house. If you score 2 or more yeses out of a possible 10, you have an 80% chance of developing cancer, arteriosclerosis, diabetes after the age of 50. I mean, that's phenomenal. So we have to resolve those issues from childhood, from teenhood, from adulthood, to forgive whatever. You're not condoning what they maybe did that hurt you, but you have to forgive and let go, because it is for your benefit, not for the other person. There's a great story I like to share. 2 prisoners of war are walking on their path to freedom. They've just been released. And the one says to the other, "So have you forgiven him?" To which he replies, "No, never." So the first says, "Then he still has you prisoner in your mind." So forgiveness is for you, not for the other person. And if the other person has deceased or is too far away, you can do it mentally, or you can send them a letter, whatever way suits you best. But emotional forgiveness is paramount, totally paramount.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So how can people become aware of these emotions that are still trapped in their body? And yeah, how can they figure out what have been traumas in their life that still have an impact? Yeah.
Well, it's a free quiz. You can Google it, ACE test, ACE, which stands for Environmental Childhood Experiences. And you can, the 10 questions will come up. They'll give you, you know, your score. And then there's professional people out there that can help you in various capacities. I highly recommend it for your mental state, if nothing else.
Yeah. So we often know that these trapped emotions will show up later, having health issues, and cancer is only one, but it could be depression or anything else. And I think especially in these times when we feel that we are more isolated and confronted with our own topics and problems, this will have a huge impact if we don't try to clear all these emotions that are still blocking us or still are in our body and have this impact.
Absolutely, yeah. So you're doing a total cleaning of your mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about your journey. So you figured out, okay, you have to change your life because of the situation that you have cancer, and you figured out, okay, I have to change my food, I have to have a more raw diet, and I have to understand about my emotions that supported this cancer. What else did you do?
I just really had a very positive attitude. You know, like there's a saying that says, if you think you can, you're right. And if you think you can't, you're also right. So, you know, I mean, you hear of horrific stories of people that came from being abused or homeless or raped or whatever that go on and are successful. Why? Because they're determined they're going to do it. They're just sort of that driving spirit that somehow I'm going to do it. You don't have to do it alone. There's always people out there that will help you. There's always help out there. It's just a matter of reaching out, finding it, get your friends to help you find, you know, the person. We're not meant to be solo players. The longest living communities on the planet are called the blue zones. There are 5 pockets worldwide: Sardinia, Japan, Linda Loma in California, Greece, and Sardinia. And why do they boast to live like into their 90s and hundreds with a sharp mind, agile body? Why? They have a sense of purpose and community in their life. So you want to belong to something, to someone, to get involved in some organization or some meaningful foundation that your heart is in it, whether it's having an animal sanctuary for aged dogs and cats, or whether it's going to fundraising for orphans in Africa. Like, we need meaning and purpose in our life. That makes such a big difference, because then you're externally focused and not internally focused. It's not about me, it's what I can give out.
Yeah, I totally hear you. So it's about the mindset people have if they focus on the bad things that happen in life, or if they focus on the good things and be grateful for that, and also to understand what is their purpose and how they can make the impact not only for themselves but for the bigger, for the whole. Yeah,
that's right. We all have some talent, and so never discredit that, oh, I'm not really talented in anything, because we all have some kind of gift that we can share with people. You know, one of the things that I've started doing is I like to put a chuckle into people's hearts. So I approach strangers at dog parks, at the ATM machine, at grocery stores, at gas bars, and I tell them a joke, because you don't know what kind of day that person is having. And even if you uplifted their spirits for 2 minutes, they can maybe go home and then share it with somebody else, and it feeds my soul as well, you know, and it raises, you know, it decreases your cortisol level, the stress hormone, and it increases the DHA, the feel-good hormone. So that's sort of my way, in a small way, just to lift people's spirits, even for just a couple of minutes. And I get such a chuckle out of it. I mean, who can I tell today, you know, in the parking lot? Like, I just approach strangers, and of course they look at me, and then they end up laughing. So what can I say?
Oh, this is so beautiful. Yeah, I think we need a lot of people like you and bring in this spirit of happiness, and help people just for, even if it is some minutes, that they feel better. This is so important. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, and you said before that it is important that people have a purpose. So what is your purpose?
Well, my purpose, I guess, definitely is in the health arena, you know, am very committed to health and healthy living. And then myself, as I was getting older, I started being more interested in health, in aging in the brain, because it seems to be a hot topic worldwide with, you know, the increase in dementia, Alzheimer's, and that kind of thing. And then I was visiting a nursing home. It was lunchtime. In the one dining room, the residents were all animated, having a lively conversation. There was lots of laughter. And just a short walk down the hallway was another dining room, about 20 women seated at tables of 4. Some of the women had to be visually shown on 2 plates their choices of lunch. Some had to have their food cut up. Some were being fed, and some were just stuffing their face like a 5-year-old. No eye contact, no social interaction, totally a dark room, or I'm sorry, a quiet room. And some of these women were only in their 50s. They were much younger than me. And it just totally broke my heart because they were victims of dementia. Well, dementia can be stopped and or prevented. When you are full-fledged suffering from dementia, 80% of your brain has either atrophied or the brain cells are dead. But it starts in your 20s and 30s. It doesn't start in your 50s or 60s. It sort of escalates till it reaches that point where your brain cells are dying. And what is it? A word we don't want to use: lifestyle habits. You know, it's just like, are we guilty that, oh, tomorrow I'll start the diet, tomorrow I'll drink more water, tomorrow I'll exercise, tomorrow I'll get more sleep, but tomorrow doesn't come, because tomorrow is not a day of the week. We have to start now, whether it's dementia or cancer. You know, we have to look after our health. But for me right now, it's dementia, making people aware that it can be stopped and or prevented.
Yeah, so from the medical point of view at the moment, the doctors don't really know where it comes from, but we can see that people having a healthier lifestyle will not have, or will less have problems with their health, of course. But dementia is really a critical topic, I think, because a lot of people suffering from it. As we get older, of course, more and more people will show up with these kind of symptoms. And what can people do? So is it about food? Is it about the emotional clearing, about mindset? What is in this kind of lifestyle?
Well, the 2 key factors, according to Dr. Klinghardt, who is a world authority on dementia, he says 50% of the world's population, 50% will die of neurological disorders. I mean, that's incredible, totally incredible. And he cites, there's many factors, but his 2 key ones are glyphosates, which is the active ingredient found in Roundup that farmers spray on their crops. And then number 2 is Wi-Fi. So we can't eliminate Wi-Fi, but you can minimize it in your home and in your usage. There's preventative things you can take.
Yeah, so what are you doing to prevent getting the impact of Wi-Fi?
Well, my computer's hardwired, so it's not, you know, so by hardwired, I can only sit at my desk and be on the internet. I can't take it around with me wherever. You never hold your cell phone up to your head. You don't have any electronics in your bedroom ever. Your bedroom is for sleeping, or the other thing, not for watching Netflix on your tablet before you go to bed, or exercising, or stereo equipment. And you don't have your cell phone on your nightstand. You have it in airplane mode, preferably off and as far away from you as possible. Just get a wind-up inexpensive clock. That's what we used to use. Don't have the electric alarm clock radios beside you, because it's emitting EMFs. So there's things you can do to minimize it. You know, you can get the orange colored glasses to minimize the glare. There's little steps you can take, you know. With 5G now, it's all around us, but you can take small preventative steps, and every little bit helps.
Yeah, so you don't have a fridge that is talking to you, telling you that the milk is empty.
No, that's right. Again, your smart appliances are emitting a lot of Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
EMF.
Yeah. So, but as we are stepping in this kind of time where all the instruments or all the tools have internet connection, yeah, it is like the Internet of Things. So it is not a joke that the fridge will talk to you one day, and yeah, so we will have more and more like these kind of things in the house. So I think it is really a challenge to, yeah, stop this process we are in at the moment, especially when we get 5G all over the world, and this will have a huge impact on health, I think.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. But you can take, preventative action. There's certain attachments you can place on your computer or on your cell phone, or pendants you can wear. But make sure you do the proper research, that it's scientifically based and preferably endorsed and supported by the scientist. So because there's a lot of fly-by-night gadgets out there.
And so how do you help people? So what it is that people can learn from you, or what is the service you can offer people who are interested?
Well, first of all, go to my app and take the free quiz. Are you at risk for dementia? So my app is the Whole Health app. If you have an Android phone, you type in the word Whole Health, which is one word, lowercase. If you have an iPhone, you type in the Whole Health app, and you'll see a picture like a cartoon of a brain. And under articles, that's where the quiz is. And if you send me your results, I don't want to know specifically, there's 15 questions, so you got 3 right or whatever. I can offer you several things. I can offer you a complimentary 20-minute kitchen pantry assessment to tell you what things you should not have in your kitchen pantry. I can offer you my coaching services, so I would send you a lengthy questionnaire to determine which body systems are the weakest, and we take action according to that. I also have a signature program coming out later on this month on healthy mind, healthy brain. So if you send me the answers to your quiz, I will give you a 20% discount to take the program. So there's a lot of options, from coaching to programs to mentorship, one-on-ones, whatever is the best interest. And it may not be just necessarily for you. If you're a caregiver, or your parents died of dementia and you don't want to go down that route, or if you work in a nursing home and you want to help some of the residents that are suffering from dementia. There's a lot of venues for people to help other people.
Can you go a little bit more in the topic? What is in your program? What are you teaching in this program?
Okay, well, you're going to have nutrition like everybody talks about. So the big one is, of course, eating as much organic as possible and avoiding the food sprayed with glyphosates. Then with the sleep, in complete darkness, totally dark, no lights, no dim lights at the end of the hall. You need complete darkness, because your brain detoxifies through the night when you're getting adequate sleep. And if you're eating properly, the glyphosates interfere with your digestion, and that digestion impairs the production of melatonin, and melatonin is your sleep hormone. And so how many people are complaining that they're always tired? A lot of it is related to the glyphosates in your diet and not sleeping in a dark bedroom. So those are paramount. Another key concept that I really focus on is called blue mind. And blue mind is a word that was coined by Dr. Wallace Nichols. He's a marine biologist. And he says, you achieve the state of blue mind when you are in, on, or near water. So why do people flock to the islands in the wintertime for their holidays? Why do people go to their cottages in the summertime? It's near water. There's water sports, kayaking, sailing, canoeing, power boating. In the wintertime, there's skiing, walking in the rain, fountains, swimming, baths. And gentlemen, baths are open to you too, not just women, with some essential oils. So water puts you in that semi-meditative state. So everybody can achieve that blue mind on a daily basis. Your backdrop on your computer can be raindrops. It could be waves crashing against the shore, taking the bath, taking a walk in nature near a waterfall or a little stream. So we need to download our brain into that semi-meditative state every day, because otherwise it's your red mind. You want blue mind, you want red mind. Red mind is that stress, go, high cortisol. So I really focus on really achieving that really, really nice state, because you really feel so much more at ease. And then, exercise. Exercise help, especially balance for people with dementia. As we get older, we're not quite as stable on our feet. So doing simple exercises for balance, like for example, stand with your feet together and raise your knee, or raise your leg to bend the knee, and hold it for as long as you can, and try to hold it standing on one foot for up to a minute. It may be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, but every day, I promise you, you will get better. And then do the other knee. And then stand with your knee bent and close your eyes. And do it for 5 seconds. And you'll be wobbly. But every day you practice it, it really helps with your balance. As we get older, it helps with the circuits in the brain. And older people fall and they fracture their hip or their hand or whatever. I mean, it's a great exercise actually for everybody, but especially for people, in their mature years. And for women, because we are 3 times more at risk for dementia because of our hormones, it's really imperative to be proactive in your brain health. Doing puzzles, whether crossword puzzles, there's lumosity, there's all sorts of puzzles that really stimulate your mind. Playing chess, take up a new habit, a new hobby that you've never done before, just to stimulate your mind. So there's all sorts of little small tactics we can do just to improve our overall health, but really focusing on the brain.
Okay.
And the big thing for me, which should be for everybody, is just gratitude, because it just puts you in such a better state.
So how do you practice gratitude?
Well, just random acts of kindness to strangers. Like, for example, with the pandemic and you're lined up at the outside the grocery store waiting to go inside, when somebody brings their shopping cart back, especially if it's a senior, you take it, halfway across the parking lot, and you put it away so they don't have to take that journey, or help carry groceries to somebody to their car, somebody that maybe has children or maybe a senior. If there's a storm coming up, lift their windshield wipers off their windshield so they don't freeze. Sometimes I'll buy, a bouquet of flowers and I'll hand it to women just impromptu, just to put a smile into somebody's face that they think, well, I mattered, even if it was just for a few minutes. I take my dogs to this park, and it's attached to a daycare center. And I dehydrate liver for my dogs as treats. And so the children are playing, they're like 3, 4, 5-year-olds. And so as soon as they see the dog, they want to pet the dog, even though it's through the fence. So I break up this little piece of liver into like maybe 10 pieces. So each one small child can put it through the fence and feed my 2 dogs. And I have met several parents after hours walking their children through this facility. And each one of the parents shared with me that their child had told them that day they fed a dog a treat. So it's just, they remembered, the parents thought that was cute, and it feeds my soul as well. So it's just another way of gratitude. We can all show gratitude in some way, make some food or some sweets for somebody and leave it on their doorstep. You don't have to be known that you're doing these random acts. It's great being anonymous too.
So it's about these little moments of happiness you can share with other people or create in other people that make you grateful for this moment, and them, of course, as
That's
well.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. And just be grateful that we're alive, that we can see, that we can smell, that we can eat, that we have food. We just take all those things for granted, that our fingers move, that our toes move so we can walk. We just think, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk. Well, what if one day you couldn't get up and you couldn't walk? How would that change your life?
Yeah, I think that is also a point, that a lot of things are so, yeah, we take them for so granted because we have them and we don't focus on them anymore. But yeah, when you get sick, then you have the idea, okay, I was a good time. It was a good time when I could use my brain and yeah, could use my hands and arms and could walk properly and go out. And but I think at the moment, as we are in this COVID situation, people understand what they had before, because now they can't go to the neighbors and just talk to them, or go outside and act freely as they normally do. So I think this is also a good chance for people to wake up a little bit more and understand what they can do to really be grateful for what they already have.
That's very true. Very true.
Yeah. So have there been people for you as well? You are helping others and make a difference in their life. Have there been people in your life that made a difference for you?
Like, I didn't have a role model. I didn't have a grandfather or grandmother that inspired me. I didn't have anything like that. I just had two friends of my parents, two women that really thought I was great and really appreciated me for what I was. But nothing really, no inspiring role model at all. I just sort of have trudged along. I was an only child, so I'm a survivor, and you just make do and you entertain yourself and whatever. And then when I was diagnosed with my or actually prior to my cancer, I really much got into personal growth, which I think has really totally impacted my whole life. Just coming to learn to accept myself. And yeah, so no big role models at all.
Okay. And as you have learned a lot now about health, are there any books or people that made an impact?
Well, I really like Dr. Furman. I follow his diet. It's called G-Bombs. This is what you should eat every day. G for greens, B for beans or legumes, O for onions and mushrooms, S for seeds, B for berries. So for good health, I really like his protocol. There's Dr. Esselstyn, same thing. He very much supports a plant-based diet. Brian Clement, I really like, again, plant-based diet. Anybody that sort of is for holistic health, plant-based, it doesn't have to be raw, but, plant-based. So I suggest to people, just try. I was executive chef at a wellness spa, and it was a vegetarian, plant-based, but it wasn't all raw. And through the week, women would come with their girlfriends, and on weekends, typically, women would drag their husbands for the weekend. And so I would always go speak to the guests after the meals. How did you enjoy your meal, et cetera, et cetera. And on Sunday at lunchtime, after lunch, the guests would leave. So I made a point to have a conversation with them. And it was 100% unanimous. The men were totally surprised. They were satiated and totally enjoyed their meals the whole weekend. And it was all plant-based. So I just suggest, I challenge you, do it for a day, do it for a week, get a friend involved, get your family involved, and prove to yourself that you will feel better. Some of your aches and pains may go away. Your digestion will improve. You may sleep better. There's a great movie out. The name escapes me at the moment. It just came out a year ago, where athletes adopted a plant-based diet, and how it changed their performance. The only competitor representing the U.S. in free heavyweight lifting at the last Olympics free lifted 1,000 pounds, and he's on a plant-based diet. There's a 40-year-old woman that switched to a plant-based diet, and she won in bicycle racing in the Olympics at age 40, which was unheard of. So I'm just suggesting incorporate more, try it for a week, you know, have a meatless Monday, or when you have your family for dinner, you don't have to advertise that there's not going to be any meat, and I guarantee you chances are they may not even recognize it. So when you have company over, you just say, do you want to come over for dinner? You don't say, do you want to come over for dinner, but there's not going to be meat. You just want to enjoy the people's company, so you don't have to be specific. So all I suggest is just give it a try. You know, going back to the blue zones, they're not 100% vegetarian, but for them, meat is maybe at the most once a week and usually just once a month. So there's got to be some benefit there somewhere.
Yeah, of course. So I'm vegetarian too, and it's always very interesting. My father really likes meat, and when I cook, of course, there will be no meat in the meal. But he always really likes how it tastes, and yeah, the texture of the food, and the different colors in the food. And he never told me I can't eat that because I'm missing the meat, because he doesn't know. So yeah, this is true. And yeah, so coming back to the question, whom are you going to help? So who are typically your clients? You already said it can be kind of normal people, but also professionals. Can you give?
Yeah, you know, anybody that's really concerned about, you know, aging, thriving as you age, and, you know, people whose lives have been touched by somebody with Alzheimer's, whether, you know, it was your grandmother, or you're a caregiver to a parent, or maybe you're just sort of a little unsure about your memory, or you work in a facility like a nursing home. I mean, I think the most horrific story I have heard of all the negative things, I guess, that have happened during COVID is people getting a phone call saying your mother died of dementia in a nursing home by herself because you couldn't go see her. I mean, that's got to be just the most heartbreaking thing, because their memory is gone. They don't understand why they're isolated in their room. They can't eat with everybody else. Nobody's coming to see them, and then they die. You know? So, you know, I suggest to people, write out your eulogy. What are people going to say about you at your funeral? Are they going to say, oh, she was an Amazon bestseller, she traveled to Europe and did charity work, she had an animal sanctuary for aging dogs and cats, she danced with her grandson at his wedding? Or are they going to say, oh, how sad, she died alone in a nursing home? You know, the choice is yours.
Yeah, and the choice is not when you are already very old, but it starts, as you said, yeah,
that's right,
when you are young. So it is all the way through your life that you make the choice how you want to be when you are old or older.
Yeah, there was a really moving segment on Britain's Got Talent I just watched the other day. A 17-year-old boy is singing and playing the piano, and he's talking to his grandmother who has dementia. And he says, one day you will be the same way you were, just like when you gave me the cookies in my hand and hid it, and just like how you sang to me. I mean, a 17-year-old boy is singing this because he's upset because he sees his grandmother just deteriorating with Alzheimer's. So, you know, be an example to your children and your grandchildren that you want to be there and enjoy life with them, so they can see you blowing out your 70 and 80, 90 birthday candles, you know, knowing everybody that's there and having meaning and purpose in your life.
Yeah, wow, This is so wonderful. So if people are now inspired and want to contact you, you already said there's an app. Are there other possibilities to come in contact with you?
Well, the app's the easiest one. You can always email me at my name, Alexi Bracey @gmail. So that would be the two options. Yeah, this place. Or you can try LinkedIn as well under my name, Alexi Bracey.
Okay, so I will type the URLs under this podcast so people can easily reach out to you and just click it, and then they come to your app, or they come to your email, or to LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. So last but not least, do you have some tips for our audience to finalize this interview? Perhaps already what you said, but give us a conclusion.
Well, I would like to add, try, even though it's may not be your style, try to do something of gratitude to somebody, to a stranger, because it really feeds, it's a two-way street. It feeds them and it feeds you. So like I said, I like to put a chuckle into people's hearts, so I like to share a joke. Okay, so a lady walks out of the drugstore and she's totally distraught because she realizes that she's locked the keys to her car. And she clasps her hands together and looks up to the skies and says, God, please send me somebody who will unlock the keys to my car. 1 minute flat, a biker appears. Tattoo, skull cap, big beer belly. He says, hey lady, you need some help. Oh, please, please, sir. I've locked the keys in my car. My daughter's sick. I have these meds for her. I have to get home. Can you please unlock the car? 1 minute, the car is unlocked. She clasps her hands, looks up to the skies one more time, says, God, thank you so much for sending me such a nice man. The biker overhears. He says, lady, I'm not a nice guy. I just got out of prison for car theft. One more time, she looks up to the skies and says, God, thank you so much for sending me a professional.
Wonderful, great. So thank you very much for being here on my podcast and giving our audience all your insights. It was a pleasure to having you here.
Oh, my pleasure too. Thank you, Swanette.
See you soon. Bye.